The check slid across the marble table, and Sienna Drake's hands trembled as she reached for it. $2 million. The number seemed fictional, like something from a movie she'd never be cast in. Her reflection stared back at her from the polished surface, mascara smudged from crying in a hospital bathroom 3 hours earlier. Across from her sat a woman who looked like she'd never cried in her life. Victoria Hartwell, ice-blonde hair swept into a flawless chignon, smiled with lips the color of fresh blood. "You have 24 hours to decide, Miss Drake. After that, I'll find someone else. Someone more desperate." She paused, letting the word hang in the air like a threat. "Though I doubt anyone is more desperate than you right now." Sienna's phone buzzed on the table. Another text from Metropolitan General Hospital. Her mother had 72 hours before they discontinued treatment. Stage 3 cancer doesn't wait for payment plans. It doesn't care that your daughter works 3 jobs and still can't afford to keep you alive. "Why me?" Sienna whispered, her voice cracking. Victoria leaned back, swirling expensive wine in a crystal glass. "Because you're perfect. Beautiful enough to catch his attention but broken enough to follow through. You need the money. I need him destroyed. It's simply business. You want me to seduce your ex-husband. I want you to infiltrate his life, earn his trust, and steal the access codes to his new artificial intelligence platform. Then you'll leak them to his competitors 3 days before launch. His company will collapse. His reputation will be ruined." Victoria's smile widened. "And you'll have enough money to save your mother and finally live the life you've been painting in those sad little canvases of yours." Sienna thought about her studio apartment with its peeling wallpaper and unpaid bills. She thought about her mother's face, gray and thin, asking if she'd eaten today. Desperation wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a cage, and Victoria Hartwell was offering her the key. "What if I say no?" Victoria pulled out her phone and displayed a photo. Sienna's mother, asleep in her hospital bed. "That was taken this morning. Charming woman. She told me all about her talented daughter." She locked her phone. "If you refuse, I'll ensure her treatment stops immediately. Not just at Metropolitan General. At every hospital in New York. My reach is extensive, Miss Drake." Sienna stared at the check. $1 million now. $1 million after the job was done. 3 months to destroy a man she'd never met. "Tell me about him." Victoria's expression shifted, something wounded flickering across her face. "Thorne Ashford. 35 years old. Built his tech empire from nothing after our divorce. During the proceedings, the court ruled I contributed nothing to the company we built together. I walked away humiliated while he kept billions." Her voice cracked slightly. "I want him to feel what I felt. Betrayal. Loss. The agony of watching everything you love disappear." Sienna picked up the check. "I'll do it." 3 days later, Sienna stood in front of a mirror wearing a dress she'd never own. Victoria had sent a team to transform her into someone who belonged at a gala where the champagne cost more than her monthly rent. The woman in the mirror was beautiful. She was also a liar. The Apex Hotel rooftop glittered with Manhattan's elite. Sienna spotted him immediately because everyone else was looking at him too. Thorne Ashford stood near the bar, surrounded by people in expensive clothes. He was taller than his photographs suggested, dark hair, sharp jawline. But what struck her wasn't his appearance, it was how alone he looked despite being surrounded by people. Sienna took a breath and started toward him. She'd gotten 3 steps before her heel caught on her dress. She stumbled directly into him, champagne exploding across his tuxedo. The conversations around them stopped. Everyone turned to stare. "Oh my God," Sienna gasped. "I'm so sorry, I didn't." Thorne looked down at his soaked jacket, then up at her. For a terrible moment, she thought he'd be angry. Instead, he started laughing. Well, he said, his voice warm with amusement, that's one way to make an introduction. I'm usually more coordinated, Sienna stammered. I swear I'm not normally a disaster. Please tell me you're not an assassin. Because if this is an assassination attempt, you need better training. Despite her panic, Sienna laughed. If I were an assassin, I'd have better shoes. Fair point. Those look lethal. He smiled. Most people at these events pretend they belong here. You're either refreshingly honest or an excellent actress. I definitely don't belong here. I'm an art consultant. I was invited by a client. What kind of art do you love? The question caught her off guard. Nobody at events like this asked what you loved. Behind Wiley, she answered honestly. The way he takes classical portraiture and reimagines it with modern subjects. It's like he's rewriting history to include people who were always there but never seen. Thorne studied her face. You didn't read that in a magazine. No. I spent 3 hours in front of one of his paintings once. Missed my shift at work. Got fired. She laughed. Totally worth it. I'm Thorne. And before you apologize again, I needed an excuse to leave this party early anyway. He pulled out his phone. Can I see you again? Somewhere without champagne fountains and uncomfortable shoes? Victoria's voice echoed in her mind. Get close. Earn his trust. Destroy him. She thought about her mother in a hospital bed. Yes, she heard herself say. I'd like that. Joe's coffee was nothing like Sienna expected. No marble counters, just a small cafe with mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh pastries. Thorne sat in the corner wearing jeans and a hoodie, looking more like a graduate student than a billionaire. You came, he said, standing. You doubted? Most people don't show up after assaulting someone with champagne. He signaled the barista. What do you drink? Coffee. Black. Simple. He raised an eyebrow. No oat milk? No vanilla syrup? I grew up poor, Sienna said. Fancy coffee feels like showing off. Something shifted in Thorne's expression. I grew up in foster care. 14 different homes in 10 years. The first time someone offered me a latte, I thought they were speaking a different language. Sienna's image of him, the one Victoria had painted, began to crack. You were in foster care? My mom died when I was 8. Drug overdose. No other family, so I went into the system. Built my first computer from parts one found in dumpsters. He said it matter-of-factly. Spent most of my childhood being passed around to people who collected government checks. Everything I have, I built from nothing. My dad left when I was 6, Sienna heard herself say. Mom raised me alone, working 2 jobs. She's sick now. Cancer. Stage 3. Her voice caught. That's why I'm consulting instead of painting. Dreams don't pay hospital bills. How much does the treatment cost? Panic flared. I didn't come here for money. I know. But I understand what it's like to watch someone you love suffer while you're powerless to help. When I was 12, one of my foster brothers got sick. I stole medication from a pharmacy. Got caught. Spent 6 months in juvenile detention. He traced the rim of his coffee cup. He died anyway. Sienna felt tears burning behind her eyes. This wasn't supposed to happen. She wasn't supposed to feel anything for him. Tell me about your art, Thorne said. What do you paint? I used to paint portraits. Not traditional ones. I painted people the way they saw themselves, not how the world saw them. A CEO who felt like an imposter. A homeless man who remembered being a concert pianist. Why did you stop? Because I needed money more than I needed to make art. Thorne was quiet. That's the tragedy, isn't it? We're forced to choose between passion and survival. He paused. My ex-wife used to say I only knew how to build things, not enjoy them. She was right. What happened with your marriage? We built the company together. At least, I thought we did. When we divorced, the court argued she contributed nothing of value. She got the legal minimum. $5 million from a billion-dollar company. His jaw tightened. Here's what nobody knows, I offered her $50 million, 30% of the company, anything to make it fair. She refused. Said she wanted nothing from me if the court didn't think she earned it. Her pride cost her everything. Sienna's world tilted. Victoria had lied. You offered her $50 million? I loved her. Even when the marriage was falling apart, I wanted her to be okay. But she couldn't separate her worth from the business. She left, and I haven't heard from her in 3 years. He laughed. For all I know, she's somewhere plotting elaborate revenge. Sienna felt sick. I should go. I have an appointment. Wait. Can I see you again? Tomorrow night? There's an art exhibition at the Morrison Gallery. She should say no. Walk away. Call Victoria and tell her the job was off. But her mother's face flashed through her mind. The hospital bills. The cage she couldn't escape. Yes, she whispered. As she walked away, her phone rang. Victoria. Tell me everything. He's nice. Kind. Nothing like you said. That's what he wants you to think. Don't fall for it, Miss Drake. He told me about the divorce. About offering you $50 million. Silence. Then Victoria's voice turned to ice. He's lying. You're falling for him. Already. Her voice dropped dangerously. Remember our agreement. If you fail, your mother pays the price. The line went dead. That night, Sienna visited her mother at the hospital. Eleanor Drake's eyes lit up when her daughter walked in. Baby girl, you look sad. What's wrong? I met someone. A man. Sienna sat on the edge of the bed, taking her mother's papery hand. He's kind. Thoughtful. And I'm going to hurt him. Because I have to. Because I need to keep you alive. So she told her. Everything. The offer from Victoria, the money, the mission, the lies. By the time she finished, her mother was crying. Oh, baby. What have you done? I saved you. Not like this. Never like this. Eleanor gripped her hand. Do you love him? This man you're supposed to destroy? I barely know him. That's not what I asked. Sienna thought about Thorne's laugh. The way he'd offered to help without making her feel small. The sadness in his eyes when he talked about being alone. I could. If I let myself. Then you have to stop this. If I stop, you die. Eleanor was quiet. When she spoke, her voice was firm despite its weakness. I didn't raise my daughter to buy my life with someone else's destruction. I'm 63 years old. I've had a good life. I raised a beautiful daughter who I'm so proud of. If I die tomorrow, I die happy. Tears slid down her cheeks. But if you do this thing, if you become someone who hurts innocent people for money, then I lose you anyway. And that's worse than dying. I don't know what to do. Tell him the truth. All of it. Give him the choice to forgive you or walk away. That's how you live with yourself. The next evening, Thorne picked her up reading a book of poetry. Mary Oliver. My mom used to read her poems to me. It's the only thing I remember about her voice. The Morrison Gallery was small, intimate, filled with work from artists nobody had heard of yet. They wandered through paintings, and Sienna felt something inside her unclench. "This one," Thorne said, stopping in front of a portrait showing a man in a business suit, his reflection a crying boy. "This is what you were talking about. People as they see themselves." "It's beautiful," Sienna whispered. "Heartbreaking, but beautiful. If you could paint anyone right now, who would it be?" "Honestly? You. How do you see me?" "I'd paint you standing in a penthouse, surrounded by everything you built. But your reflection would show a boy in a foster home, looking out a window and dreaming of being safe." Thorne's breath caught. "That's exactly right. How did you?" "Because I see myself the same way. We're both survivors pretending to be successful. But we never really escaped, did we?" He stepped closer. "I haven't connected with someone like this in years. Maybe ever. You make me feel like someone finally sees me as a person instead of a bank account." Guilt crashed over her. She was exactly what he feared. "Thorne, I." He kissed her. Soft and tentative. Despite everything, despite the lies and the mission and Victoria's threats, Sienna kissed him back. When they pulled apart, Thorne smiled. "I'm sorry. I should have asked first." "Don't apologize. Don't ever apologize for that." He drove her home, and when they reached her building, he walked her to the door. "Can I see you tomorrow? I want to show you my penthouse. Not because it's expensive, but because it's the first place I've ever lived that felt like home. And I want to share it with you." This was it. Access to his computers, his files, his security codes. Everything Victoria needed. "Yes," she said. "I'd love that." Thorne's penthouse was covered in photographs. Not expensive art, but real moments. A young Thorne in foster homes, looking scared. A teenager graduating alone. An adult cutting a ribbon at his first office, still alone. The progression of a life built in isolation. "Most people expect a minimalist billionaire aesthetic," Thorne said. "My interior designer quit when I told her I wanted it to feel lived in. This is beautiful. It's your story." He showed her his library, where he spent most of his time. "Just here, reading. Trying to understand the world that never made sense to me growing up." They ordered takeout and ate on his balcony, talking until the city lights blurred into stars. Then Thorne did something unexpected. "Show me your art. Paint something now. I have a spare room. We can turn it into a studio." "Thorne, I can't just." "Why not? You need to paint. I have space and money. This is what resources are for, Sienna. Helping people create beautiful things." They spent an hour on his laptop ordering supplies. When they finished, his laptop sat open on the desk, password unprotected, access codes probably saved in his files. They made love that night, and it felt nothing like the transaction Sienna had imagined. It felt real and raw and heartbreaking. At 3 a.m, she slipped out of bed. The tracking device Victoria had given her sat in her purse. All she had to do was attach it to his laptop. 3 seconds. Then her mother would live, and Thorne would lose everything. She walked to his study. Placed the device on the back of his laptop. It clicked into place magnetically. Done. Mission accomplished. Sienna stood there staring at it. Then she ripped it off, broke it in half, and shoved the pieces deep in the trash. She couldn't do it. Not to him. Victoria could threaten her mother, could destroy Sienna's life, but Sienna wouldn't become someone who betrayed kindness. As she turned to leave, Sienna saw a photo on Thorne's desk. From the art gallery, taken by someone in the background. Thorne and Sienna looking at a painting together, both smiling. He'd printed it. Framed it. Caption in his handwriting, "The day everything changed." Sienna pressed her hand to her mouth to stifle a sob. She went back to bed and curled against Thorne's sleeping form, memorizing the feel of his warmth. Because soon she'd have to tell him the truth, and this fragile beautiful thing between them would shatter. The next morning, Thorne made terrible pancakes. They laughed about his cooking skills, and Sienna committed every detail to memory. "I need to tell you something," Sienna said as they cleaned up. Before she could answer, Thorne's phone rang. His face went pale. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He turned to Sienna, fear written across his face. "That was my head of security. Someone tried to hack our system last night. They traced the attempt to Victoria. My security chief thinks she hired someone to get close to me." Sienna's blood turned to ice. "I need to get to the office. Emergency protocols. Can we do this tonight?" "Of course. Go." He kissed her quickly and left. Her phone rang immediately. "Victoria. I just received an alert. You destroyed the tracking device. Would you like to explain why?" "I can't do this. I won't. Your mother's treatment is scheduled for this afternoon. One phone call from me, and it stops. Permanently. Then make the call. I'd rather watch her die than become the person you want me to be." Victoria laughed, cold and sharp. "How noble. I don't need you anymore, Miss Drake. I have other plans. But before I go, I'm going to make sure you lose everything. Your mother. And especially him." The line went dead. A text came through with an attachment. Surveillance footage from the penthouse. Last night. Sienna planting the tracking device. The video was edited, it didn't show her removing it. The second text, "He's going to see this in exactly 1 hour. Unless you do exactly what I say. Come to the Apex Hotel. Rooftop. Now. Or I send this to Thorne and every news outlet in New York." Sienna ran. Victoria stood by the rooftop railing in a white suit. There she is. The artist with a conscience. "I'm disappointed, Miss Drake. You lied about everything. Thorne offered you $50 million. His money was an insult. I built that company with him. I deserved equal recognition." Victoria's composure cracked. "Do you know what it feels like to be told you contributed nothing of value? I want him to feel that. And you were supposed to help me. I won't. Then your mother dies today. And I send this video to Thorne. He'll believe you betrayed him. He'll hate you." Sienna felt the trap close around her. "What do you want?" "I want you to deliver documents to the press. Fabricated evidence of corporate theft. Your name, your face. When this scandal breaks, you'll be the one everyone blames. I'll remain anonymous." Victoria stepped closer. "I want him to see your face and remember that he trusted you. That he loved you. And that you betrayed him. I won't do it." Then I press send. "Right now. If I agree, you'll leave my mother's treatment alone? You have my word. Your word is worthless." Victoria shrugged. "It's all you have. Decide. Save your mother and destroy Thorne, or save Thorne and watch your mother die. You have 30 seconds. Sienna closed her eyes and saw two faces. Her mother, who'd told her to be better than this. And Thorne, offering her trust and the possibility of not being alone anymore. "I'll do it," Sienna whispered. But as Victoria turned to hand her the envelope, Sienna grabbed Victoria's phone and threw it over the rooftop railing. "You're insane." Victoria shrieked. "Maybe. But I'm done being your weapon." Sienna ran for the exit, Victoria screaming following her down the stairs. She had maybe 10 minutes before Victoria found another phone. Her phone rang. The hospital. "Miss Drake, I'm so sorry. Your mother's condition has deteriorated rapidly. You need to come now. We don't think she has much time. Sienna stood on a Manhattan sidewalk, torn between two impossible directions. The hospital was north. Thorne's office was south. Her mother was dying. His company was being destroyed. She chose her mother. She would always choose her mother. Eleanor Drake lay still, eyes closed, chest rising and falling with mechanical assistance. Sienna fell to her knees beside the bed, grabbing her mother's hand. "Mom, I'm here." Eleanor's eyes fluttered open. "Baby girl. You came." "Of course I came." "Did you tell him the truth?" "I tried, Mom. But it wasn't enough. Victoria is still going to destroy him." "Then go to him." "I can't leave you." Eleanor smiled weakly. "Sienna Drake, you listen to me. I'm dying. We both know it. But you're not dying. You're 28 years old with your whole life ahead of you. And you're in love with a good man who's about to be destroyed. How did you? I'm your mother. I see things. You love him. And he needs you more than I do right now. Mom, no. I can't lose you. You're not losing me. I'll always be with you." Eleanor's breath hitched. "But if you stay here and watch me die while he loses everything, you'll regret it forever. That's not love, baby. That's guilt. And I won't be your excuse for not living your life. You promise you'll wait? Let me come back and tell you about it." Eleanor smiled. "Have I ever broken a promise to you?" Sienna kissed her mother's forehead, memorizing everything. "I love you. So much. I know, baby. Now go be brave." Sienna ran. She pulled up news sites as she flagged a taxi. Tech billionaire accused of corporate espionage. Ashford Industries under federal investigation. Victoria had done it. She'd planted false evidence so perfectly that news outlets were reporting it as fact. Thorne's launch was tomorrow morning. His company would collapse. Sienna called Thorne's number. Straight to voicemail. A text came through. "He's in an emergency board meeting. By tomorrow, Thorne Ashford will be finished. Oh, and I just sent that lovely video of you planting the tracking device to his head of security. Enjoy your reunion. V." Sienna's phone rang. "Thorne." His voice was cold, flat. "Where are you?" "In a taxi. Coming to your office." "Thorne, I can explain. Marcus showed me the video. You were in my home planting surveillance equipment. I know how it looks, but..." "How long, Sienna? How long were you working for Victoria?" "Since the beginning. She hired me 3 weeks before the gala. Offered me $2 million to steal your launch codes." Silence. "So everything was a lie?" "No. I was supposed to betray you, but I didn't. I broke the device. I refused to give Victoria the codes. The video is edited. It doesn't show me destroying it." Convenient explanation. "Thorne, please. My mother was dying, and I was desperate, and I was convenient. A desperate billionaire so lonely he'd believe anyone who showed him basic kindness." His voice broke. "I trusted you. I was falling in love with you. And the whole time, you were planning to destroy everything I've built. I wasn't. By the end of that first week, I knew I couldn't go through with it. Too late. The damage is done. My investors are abandoning me. My launch is cancelled. My company is finished." His breathing was ragged. "And the worst part isn't losing the business. The worst part is that I actually believed you were different. We can fix this." "No. I never want to see you again. Marcus is filing a restraining order." His voice dropped to something cold and final. Goodbye, Sienna. I hope Victoria's money was worth it. The line went dead. When Sienna reached the hospital, Eleanor Drake was already gone. Passed away peacefully 20 minutes ago, the nurse said. She'd been asking for Sienna at the end. Sienna sat beside her mother's empty body and felt something fundamental break inside her. She'd left her mother to save Thorne, and she'd been too late for both of them. The funeral was 3 days later. Small, cheap, attended by nobody. News outlets had moved on. Thorne's company had declared bankruptcy. Victoria had disappeared. Sienna returned to her apartment to find an eviction notice. The $2 million Victoria had paid her was frozen in federal investigations. Her bank account held $300. A week after the funeral, Sienna gave testimony to the FBI about Victoria's fraud scheme. Will he be cleared? She asked the prosecutor. Eventually. But the damage is done. His company is bankrupt. Even when we prove he's innocent, most people won't care. Sienna left the police station and walked through Manhattan without destination. She thought about giving up. But then she thought about her mother's last words. Go be brave. She found a cheap room in Brooklyn and bought art supplies with her last $300. She painted 18 hours a day. The portraits emerged dark and raw, faces twisted with guilt. Self-portraits, all of them. 6 months later, Sienna received an email from a small gallery upstate. They'd seen photos of her work online. They wanted to feature her. 6 paintings, 3-month exhibition. The opening was attended by maybe 30 people. Sienna stood in the corner wearing a thrift store dress, watching strangers examine her grief made visible. And then he walked in. Thorne Ashford looked different. Thinner, beard untrimmed, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. But his eyes were the same, landing on her across the room like a physical impact. Sienna couldn't breathe. She watched as he walked slowly through the gallery, studying each painting. When he reached the final painting, the largest one, he stood there for a long time. It was titled, The One I Couldn't Save. A man standing in a penthouse, surrounded by photos of his past, looking out at a city of lights. His reflection showed a boy in a foster home, crying. And in the corner, barely visible, a woman walking away. It's beautiful, Thorne said quietly. Heartbreaking, but beautiful. Sienna crossed to him. I didn't know you'd be here. I saw the announcement online. He didn't look at her, kept his eyes on the painting. I told myself I wouldn't come. That you'd already taken enough from me. But you came anyway. I'm a fool. Finally, he turned to face her. His expression was guarded, careful. Why did you paint this? Because I needed you to know. That it was real. That I tried to save you. That walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done. Your mother. She died the day your company collapsed. I'd left the hospital to try to warn you, but she passed while I was gone. Thorne's expression cracked. Sienna. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know that everything between us was real for me. I was hired to destroy you, but I fell in love with you instead. I know, Thorne said quietly. What? I know it was real. My security team found Victoria's cameras 3 weeks ago. We have all the footage, including you destroying the tracking device. Including you arguing with Victoria. He ran a hand through his hair. The FBI arrested Victoria in Buenos Aires last month. She's fighting extradition. Sienna felt the world tilt. You've known for 3 weeks that I didn't betray you? Yes. And you didn't call? I was angry. You should have told me the truth from the beginning. You're right. I should have. I was a coward. No. You were desperate. I understand desperation. Thorn gestured to the paintings. This is what I've been doing for 6 months. Rebuilding from nothing. Again. Your company. Gone. Completely bankrupt. But I sold the AI platform for enough to pay debts and start over. He smiled sadly. Turns out I'm better at building things than keeping them. They stood surrounded by Sienna's guilt and Thorn's loss. I'm sorry, Sienna whispered. For all of it. I'm sorry too. For not trusting that you'd make the right choice eventually. For blocking your calls. He stepped closer. You made a terrible decision out of love for your mother. Then you made a brave decision to stop it even though it cost you everything. Both things are true. Can you forgive me? He was quiet. I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. But I can't just pick up where we left off. I know. But I'd like to try. If you're willing. We start over. Completely over. He held out his hand. Hi. I'm Thorn. I'm 35 years old, recently bankrupt, and trying to figure out how to rebuild a life. Sienna took his hand. I'm Sienna. I'm 28, recently orphaned, and trying to figure out how to forgive myself for choices I made out of desperation. Nice to meet you, Sienna. Want to get coffee sometime? I'd like that. But Thorn? When we get coffee, I'm telling you everything. Every mistake, every regret, every terrible choice. No more secrets. Deal. And I'll tell you about mine. They left the gallery together, not holding hands, not ready for that intimacy. But walking side by side, two survivors figuring out how to exist in the aftermath of destruction. It wasn't a happy ending. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Some betrayals leave scars too deep to fully fade. But it was a beginning. A tentative first step toward something that might eventually resemble forgiveness. Two damaged people choosing each other despite knowing exactly how much damage they could do. Choosing trust despite having every reason not to. Choosing love despite understanding how much love could cost. And sometimes, that's enough. So what do you think? Did Sienna deserve her second chance after everything she did? Would you have forgiven her if you were Thorn? And what would you have done in her position? Save your dying mother or protect someone you just met? Drop your answers in the comments because I genuinely want to know how this story made you feel. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Stories like this, real and raw and complicated, are what this channel is all about. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the worst decisions lead to the most important destinations. See you in the next one. Whispered Stories, where every whisper tells a story.